What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 4th episode here on Ty Drives. My name is Ty, behind the camera as always, and today we are taking a look at one of my favorite cars ever, and it is of course the 2021 Volkswagen Golf GTI in the middle of the road SE trim level. Now in this video we're going to go over all the features and specs on the outside. We're then going to move under the hood quickly and go move on our way to the interior of the car, starting with the trunk, moving forward to the rear seats, and finally for the front seats. And to end out the video, we're going to take this car for a drive. I'm going to strap this GoPro on my head and you're going to see exactly what it is, what it's like to drive this GTI. And by the way, this one is in the dual clutch transmission, and you might be saying, oh Tyler, why wouldn't you film a car that comes with a manual, film it with a manual? Well, the reason is I like variety. And if you check my channel, we just filmed a base Golf with the 6-speed. So if you want to see a stick Golf, then you can go ahead and check out that video. But for now, we're going to work with the DSG. And we'll start off the features up front with the headlamps. Now, full LED units for the SE trim level and the Autobahn. Have nice red accents in the headlights too, but everything is LED powered, high and low beams, turn signals, and the daytime running lights. We also have these nice hidden fog lamps down below with the sport trim. You have some pretty large air intakes, at least larger than in the regular Golf. You of course have the red line with the GTI badge finishing out front. The hood on the Golf is a short and sloping design with some creases that go along the edges. And for the SE, we have these really nice 18-inch wheels painted black. Sort of each trim level gets their own wheel option for 2021. And this, to be honest with you, I think is my favorite. So all painted in black, you have these beautiful brake calipers with painted red, and the GTI name is there, and as you can see, the car comes with 225/40 tires. Taking a look down the side, we have black surrounding the windows, and as you can see, the oversized sunroof is up there too. Flipping around on the mirrors, we have LED turn signals and the blind spot warning. You also have smart key entry on both the front door handles. And out back we have pretty much the same setup. You also do have ventilated discs in the back too, so for some extra braking power. Out in the back, same as up front, all LED bulbs powering the rear lights, so the turn signals, the tail lamps, and the brake lights, all LED. We have a nice blacked out spoiler with some side extensions, and a little bit of an extension on the top too, which is pretty neat. Have the GTI badging and the dual exhaust outlets, which are real, unlike on the normal Golf. And we'll give that exhaust a listen just a little bit later in the video. We also have the Volkswagen emblem that doubles as the trunk release and the hidden backup camera. So last year for this body style of GTI, I can only imagine how they're going to improve it in the next generation. Alright, under the hood is a familiar 2-liter turbocharged inline four. It's rated at 228 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, but I can tell you it definitely feels quite a bit peppier than that. And this is a good power boost over the 1.4 that you find in the normal Golf. Super easy to access engine. This engine has been out for quite a while and it's proven to be pretty reliable. Small engine cover, you have the intake out back exhaust, or intake out front, exhaust out back. Still have the engine oil dipstick and various fluids you could check. The battery's up front as well, and as you can see, the hood latch is up here and you just press it like so. Alright, so we can start off the interior with the trunk, and you could open it using the Volkswagen emblem there. And once it's open, you have a nice wide view to put taller items in. Now, it's not all that big of a trunk lengthwise. It's more the width that you get with the Golf. You can, of course, remove this cargo shade that ties in up there. It'll protect everything that's inside your trunk. And you can also fold down the seats 60-40. And you also have a little pass-through, as you can see there. You have storage extensions off to either side in little cubby fashions, a 12-volt power outlet, and grocery bag hangers. And you also have cargo tie-downs in each corner. Lots of accessories in this car. So you have the winter mats, first aid kit, roadside assistance kit, the cargo blocks, all-weather trunk mat as well. And if we lift up the bottom, we also have a spare tire. To close the trunk on either side, over here and here, you have hidden handles, so you can grab it and close the trunk right on down. Taking a look at the rear seats, quality on the door is what you'd expect. So you have a hard touch plastic up here and down there, but where your arm's going to rest is a nice soft leatherette material. You have a speaker on the door and some storage. And pretty supportive rear seats too. You can fold them down with this little latch there, but take a look at the thigh extensions. Pretty cool. Now the driver's seat is adjusted to a suitable and comfortable position for myself, and I'm 5'10". As you can see, I have a couple of inches of space. Not quite enough space back here to fit 3 people comfortably, at least. You could definitely fit 3 people. It's just a matter of will they be comfortable or not. But you have a good amount of amenities back here too. You have the ability to shut on and off your air vents. And you also have mat pockets. You can see there is an armrest that you could fold down. There's a couple of cup holders and the pass-through. That pretty much does it for out back. It's pretty simple back here, but you also have plenty of room. And next, you can open up the driver's door. You have this nice trim, like this hexagonal trim on the doors, as well as kind of like a nice trim, I guess you could say. And there's also some ambient lighting, so this will light up red in this little metal strip there. You have your door handle, lock and unlock, and the heated mirror controls. Down below you have the windows. A little bit of a larger storage tray up front than in back. You of course have the speakers as well. You have the air vent, all of your lighting controls with your fog lights. You just pull it out like that to activate your fog lights. Gauge dimmer. And you can also see the lever for the tilt telescoping steering wheel a bit better from this angle. Nice metal pedals and the trunk release. And the sales tray also lights up at night. Very supportive seats, plenty of side support, but not so much that it's like strangling you. So it's a very good amount of side support. You have the red stitching on the outside and then kind of a color match stitching on the inside. And it's partial powered. When you go to the Autobahn trim, it'll be full powered. But this one, only the backrest is powered. You have a height adjustment there, a lumbar adjustment up there, and a forward and backwards down there. Alright, so here's the key fob for the GTI. Pretty similar to the regular Golf, although it has the GTI logo on the back, so you could show everybody that you paid the extra money for the GTI. And it's well worth the extra money for sure. You have the Volkswagen emblem back here too. You have the lock, unlock, trunk release, and panic alarm. And a flip-out key in case you need it. This car, of course, has push-button ignition, and it's right here. Just put your foot on the brake. And the 2-liter turbo will start right up. Now, on this point, we're going to do a quick overview of the interior, kind of talk about what the buttons do and all that good stuff. And right after that, we're going to take it out for a drive, so stay with us. We're going to start out here on the steering wheel, nicely leather wrapped with some contrast stitching. On this side you have a lot of cruise control settings. It's a regular cruise control system. On the Autobahn you can get a adaptive cruise control. This button right down here displays all of your driver's assistance so that you can see blind spot, rear cross traffic, and front assist. And you also have the audio volume right there. Moving across the airbag cover, we have most of our media controls. And then we also have these up, down, left, and right arrows for the center screen, which we will get to in just a little bit. We also have a voice commands button and skipping between our tracks. Nice flat bottom steering wheel with the GTI emblem there. And we get a nice set of gauges for the GTI. A little bit different than in the standard Golf, a little more sporty. And you get a nicer center TFT display. And again, we're going to use the left and right with the OK and the up and down to configure that screen. So we're kind of in the vehicle information screen. It'll give you a bunch of averages, so lots of trip data and everything like that. As you can see, real-time economy, oil temperature, all that good stuff, speed warnings, real-time speed and average speed. And if we click the left and right buttons, we'll go between our assist systems, our navigation setup, the audio screen, the telephone screen, and vehicle status. And then with the GTI comes a lap timer. So we get start and stop the laps right there, which is really cool. So you can record lap times while you're at the track. Taking a look at the left, up at the dashboard, nice soft to the touch. We also have the hazards button in between the air vents. And behind the steering wheel, I forgot to talk about, how could I forget about this? It also has paddle shifters, so the plus and minus. We have the turn signals and wipers to the right. So on the GTI SE, you get a little bit of an upgraded screen. As you can see, it's a little bit larger and the buttons on the side are sort of a touch capacitive. You have the home screen right here. Really nice looking, and there's also a certain degree of gesture control. So as you can see, when I put my hand near it, a little bit more menus pop up. And you can also use your hand to swipe between menus like so, which is really cool. And I believe that's an addition to most Volkswagen models for the 2021 model year. But we'll quickly go through the screens here, presets over here, and all of your different things down below. The telephone screen, we can also see the navigation here as well. We have all of our different assist systems, which we could turn on and off, such as your front active warning. So if you get too close to someone, or you're coming up, or someone's braking a little bit harder than you will, it'll actually cut in and brake for you so you don't have a collision. We have the App Connect, which has to do with the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. And we also have some vehicle settings here, so some trip data. And we also have vehicle settings. We have the sound, which you can configure, and just our system settings are here as well. Taking a look down below, super simple single climate control system here. We have heated seats to either side, temperature on the left, where you want the air to blow on the right, and where and how fast the air comes out, or the fan speed in the center. Have a little bit of storage in there with a USB-C inlet. And now we come down to here, which we can discuss our transmissions. So this particular tester we have today has the 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Absolutely flawless transmission if you don't want the manual. But if you get the manual, it's also a great transmission too. I didn't choose to get a manual for this car since, again, as I said earlier, we tested a base Golf with the 6-speed manual. So now we're working with the 7-speed dual clutch, and I can tell you, having driven both the automatic transmission and the standard transmission in this generation of GTI, it's a totally different car. This car just feels downright fast with the 7-speed dual clutch. We have a couple of different modes that we could choose from here: in Eco, Normal, Sport, and then a custom mode, which I wanted to show you. You can adjust all of these different settings here. So steering, front differential lock, drivetrain, engine sound. You can make the sound come through the speakers a little bit more prominent. And the lighting assist, since this car has the automatic high beams. You have the auto start stop, which you can shut off, and we're going to shut it off right now. And also you can shut off the traction control. Taking a look down here, we have a 12-volt cup holders and a real parking brake, a manual parking brake, and a little bit of storage underneath the center console. You also have a really nice amount of storage in the glove box here, so it's kind of like a bin style. You have some storage here for the SD cards, I guess you could say. There's a business card holder and some coin holders in there too. Taking a look up top, we have a frameless auto dimming compass and garage door home link mirror. We also have some various controls up here for lighting. So you have LED interior lights as opposed to the regular halogens in the regular Golf. You have a sunglass console over here and some various information and emergency buttons. Full black headliner in this car, looks very nice. We also have the sunshade that covers the roof. And these buttons in the center will either slide or tilt the roof back depending on what you'd like to do. And I have our visor with the mirror and light, again LED lights, and all 4 passengers have handles at the top. But at this point of the video, without further ado, let's take this thing for a drive. Okay, so Golf GTI time, 7-speed dual clutch here. Now we're gonna go on a mountain here, a little bit of a hill, and we're gonna take this thing around and see what the turning circle's like. Throughout this drive, we're gonna get this car up to about 45, hopefully 50 miles an hour. We'll see what it's like at higher speeds, and then we'll take it onto a back road. It's pretty bumpy, pretty curvy, and quite a bit of elevation change on the road too. So it's a really fun road, and it's also a good road to test these cars out so I can give you my best experience with this car. So taking it around our little test here for the turning circle. Super good turning circle. You know, the short wheelbase definitely helps this car out. And if you noticed, the steering ratio is pretty much 1 turn to lock. So it's a really direct steering system. We're gonna start off this drive in normal mode, and then we're gonna work our way up to sport mode, and then we might switch back to normal again because the road gets a little bit bumpier and I want to feel out the suspension a little bit. So we're going to get onto this sort of state highway. It's a 2-lane highway, and we'll get it up to about 45, 50 like I said earlier. You could really hear the turbo in this thing as it spools up a little bit. Now this, without a doubt, is a torque engine rather than a horsepower engine. I believe peak horsepower comes in like 4,800 RPM, so it's happy at low RPMs. So this is definitely this motor builds boost very low down in the rev range. And as you can see, if I give it a little bit of gas in the comfort mode, it doesn't change up the gears. It kind of stays in the gear that's in and just lets the turbo wind out a little bit, and I really like that. So I don't think we're gonna quite hit 50 miles an hour, maybe 45 if we're lucky. But up at these speeds, you know, it's a pretty decently comfortable car. The steering, although there's not a lot of feel in the normal mode, it's super direct. Like you're darting around no matter if you turn the steering wheel just a tiny bit. So the steering in this car is top notch. Not a lot of tire noise, not a lot of wind noise either. So at this point, we're gonna switch it over into sport mode, pop it into manual, and we got second gear. We're going about 25. We're gonna floor it and see what happens. This car has the perfect amount of power to have fun with. You know, it's not overpowered, it's definitely not underpowered. It's just got a really good amount of power to this car, you know. And as you see right there, keeping it locked in fourth gear and just giving it a little bit of the beans, this thing spools up really nicely, and you could hear the difference between normal mode and sport mode, because more of the sound from the engine gets piped in through the speakers of the car, so that will get amplified. And that's something I've noticed because I drive a 2019 GLI, and each driving mode that they have, the Eco versus the normal versus the sport, you get more sound. So the Eco is kind of like engine sound only. Normal, you get a little bit of piped in noise, and then sport, you get as much as you possibly can. Now I want to reverse a little bit because we went over a pretty nasty bump over there, and this car is absorbing the bumps very nicely. It's not too stiff at all. We definitely have a Sunday driver in front of us. But yeah, going over the bumps, you know, you can hear them a little bit because of the skinny sidewalls and the tires, but you really can't feel them all that much. And this is why a lot of people consider it one of the best daily drivers, this car. You know, it's affordable. You know, just about anybody who's got a decent job can afford one of these things, and it just offers so much fun and quite a bit of practicality. Hang out at this stop sign for a couple of seconds. And this corner here, we'll get to test out the handling capability here. Yeah, this thing handles really nice. A very, very minimal amount of body roll. At this point, I'm going to put it back into normal mode. And I guess if any time to get caught behind a Sunday driver, this is a good point, I guess. Since this road gets pretty bumpy, I'm gonna run over the bumps as much as I can, and we'll see what it feels like. So yeah, the bumps are there. You can definitely feel them, but there's a certain solidity to this car when you go over a bump. You know, there's zero rattles. You know, you don't feel anything moving around in the steering wheel. It's just solid. This is a pretty nasty section of the road here. Lots and lots of power down low. This is not an engine that you rev out. You know, it's very comfortable. I would say even below 3,000 RPM. I have the same setup, same motor, same transmission in my GLI that I daily drive. And in daily driving, even getting on the highway, you know, leaving it in automatic and kind of in a normal mode, you won't see this engine go over 3,000 RPM unless you're really, really into the throttle. It's just got that much low end power that it can just keep the revs down low. And in return, you know, it's not so noisy, and you also get pretty darn good fuel economy. Just take notice when I take the corners, how little I have to turn the steering wheel. You know, when I first drove this generation of GTI, I was really shocked at the steering ratio. It was crazy. And it still is pretty crazy to me. The steering on these cars is awesome. And we'll give it one little acceleration up the hill here, just to round the video off. So that was in normal mode. It kind of switched into third gear on me, but it pulled us right out with giving the motor some more boost. So what are my thoughts on the 2021 GTI? All I can say is I can't wait to see what this new GTI is going to be like. You know, this car being this good, you know, how could they possibly improve on a car like this? But I have no doubt in my mind that they've definitely improved on it. The lucky Europeans, they get those cars before we even see them. They're not even out yet. But, you know, I really can't wait. This car is still just a magnificent car. You know, if you've driven one, you simply just know. It's just one of those iconic cars. Definitely in the top 5 cars that I've driven in my life. Just amazing performance from such a cheap car. And nothing about the car is cheap. You know, all the materials in here are not the best, but definitely far from the worst. Plenty of technology with the newer screen. Lots of information throughout here in the center. Beautiful looks in the cabin. This is one of the most beautiful steering wheels in the auto industry right now, and it's been out for a while. It still retains a lot of new technology in here. Like, if you know, this generation came out in 2015, if you looked at this interior and had no idea, you'd say, yeah, this is maybe a car that came out in 2018, 2017 maybe. It still looks really modern in here, and it's got the performance to match. But to end out this video, I thank each and every one of you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I also hope you stay with us here at Ty Drives.